All right, Senator Durbin, welcome to the Subway Series.
Good to be with you.
See you. So these are consequential times. I mean, you've been at the forefront of what is arguably the issue of our time, which is dealing with this deficit. Well, how do you feel about where we're headed? I mean,
well, I'm hopeful because
really
this group of 6 senators, 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans, which I've been part of, we've been meeting for about 5 months. Before that, 4 of us have been meeting for 10 months with the commission, deficit commission. We've come to know one another and trust one another and understand one another, and I think we're moving closer to an agreement.
My sense, and correct me if I've got this just wrong, but it seems that in a way the president kneecapped you guys by coming out. You guys were on the verge of an agreement. He comes out, he calls for a whole new team of negotiators. You guys aren't even included in this. It just seems like that whole effort, that all the work you guys were doing, gone.
I disagree. You have the House Republican budget from Congressman Paul Ryan, whom I know and like, which is going to be placed somewhere on the right side of the spectrum. You have the President's suggestion, which will be on the other side of the spectrum. And if and when we reach an agreement, it'll be in the middle. A bipartisan effort, which I think has a chance to succeed.
But, I mean, were you surprised the President came out like this? I mean, my understanding is he didn't, I mean, Senator Reid told us he didn't even tell him about it until the Saturday before the Sunday was announced.
I didn't know until David Plouffe said he was going to do this on the Sunday when it chose.
You said you like Paul Ryan. I don't hear a lot of Democrats saying that these days.
I do. I respect it. And we served on the commission together. And during that time, I really came to understand that he's very bright, very hardworking, and very thoughtful about his point of view. I disagree with his point of view, and I think I certainly would have done things a lot differently, but I respect him. And I think that is a good starting point for a political solution. Respect for both sides.
But the President made it sound like this is a guy that's out to change the America that we know, wants to deny health care for 50 million Americans, all to give big tax breaks to the wealthy. It does not sound like somebody that's laudable.
I don't disagree with the President. I respect it.
You think that's what Paul Ryan wants to do?
If you take a look at what he is going to do to Medicare, where he is going to dramatically increase the out-of-pocket expenses of senior citizens, reducing the likelihood that they'll have insurance, that is a huge change. That's the end of Medicare as we know it.
Now, are you willing to say point blank that Social Security changes should not be part of this?
No. Here's my point of view on this. Social Security does not add to the deficit. Social Security, untouched, will make every promised payment for 26 years, but in 2037, as we know it, Social Security falls off a cliff. There's a 22% reduction in payments, which is really not something we can tolerate. If we deal with it today, it's an easier solution than waiting. I think we ought to deal with it. Many of my colleagues disagree, say put it off to another day. But from my point of view, leaving it out makes it easier politically. Including it, I think, meets an obligation which we have to senior citizens.
Okay, as you, I'm sure, know, your colleague Bernie Sanders has got a sense of the Senate resolution.
God bless Bernie.
And he says it's a very simple resolution. It says Social Security benefits for current and future beneficiaries should not be cut. Are you willing to sign on to this sense of the Senate resolution?
I'll tell you why I'm not. If you said, for example, I have friends of mine who are millionaires, retired in Chicago.
Collecting Social Security checks.
Collecting Social Security, saying, Durbin, what's wrong with this picture? Why are we getting the same Social Security check as the person who was the secretary in our office? Or someone who was a custodian in our building? You shouldn't pay us as much, and I think they're right. Now, if we reduce the amount of check that they receive, it violates Bernie Sanders' resolution.
Right.
I think Bernie's gone too far with his language.
Okay, we're about to have this big fight, potentially the most consequential of all, over the debt ceiling. And we've heard from your leader, we've heard from Harry Reid that he wants a clean bill.
I do too. I don't know if it's achievable, but here's the difference. Playing chicken with a government shutdown is one thing. When there are critical government services and hundreds of thousands of federal employees with their jobs at risk, playing that same game of chicken with our economy is another thing. We run the risk of jeopardizing the reputation of the U.S. dollar as a global currency. We could create problems in America that would destroy jobs and hurt businesses for a long time to come. So let's be responsible. Let's get that part of our business done and not wait till the 11th hour.
Do you think that most people in your party, elected officials here, really get it, though? I mean, you've been dealing with these issues. You've sat through the whole debt commission. But is the urgency of this message of dealing with this deficit really gotten through to everybody in the Democratic Party?
I think it's getting through, and you'd be surprised. Many of my friends on the left, they are my friends. These are my roots politically, are going through the stages of grief, denial, anger, frustration, sadness, resignation. They're going through those stages because they understand borrowing 40 cents for every dollar you spend, whether it's for a missile or food stamps, is just unsustainable.
So how soon will you have a plan, this Gang of Six?
Well, we're taking a break here for the Easter Passover occasions, and I hope soon after we return. We're very, very close, and there's a sense of urgency here. Our relevance is going to be hooked to our timeliness. If we wait too long, we may not be players, and a lot of people are counting on us to be players.
And you're confident your colleagues in the Senate Democratic Caucus are going to be on board with this plan? So a lot of them won't be.
Some won't be. I understand that. But we need both caucuses. This only works if both caucuses, Republican and Democratic caucuses, say, all right, this isn't exactly what I want, but it's a solution that works. It's honest. Let's move forward.
All right. On that note, Senator Durbin, thanks for taking a ride with us on the subway.